course, the most abundant resource for survival on an island, or even just living on an island, is the coconut. And even in these islands, it's one of the major export out of these islands is dried coconut, which is called copra. And they will crack open these dry coconuts, extract the meat, and dry them out for export. But for survivalists, they can provide food, fuel, fresh water, and the palm itself can provide shelter. You can cut down these palm leaves here and lay them like a thatch over a lean-to. In a survival situation in the islands, you're not looking for warmth so much from your shelter, but you're going to be wanting to get some protection from the rays of the sun, and also with rain, you want to be protected from that as well. So you want something that's going to shed the rain away from you. So this is a really great resource, and it's so abundant. You can look around and it's everywhere. There's palm trees all over the place. So it's a resource that should definitely be used. Some of the islands, they call it the tree of life, or a tree of 1,000 uses, because it's just so useful for living on these islands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my machete here and crack open this coconut, just to show you how you might dehusk them. The locals here will use a kind of a crowbar wedged into the ground, or you can use a pointed stick, and you can actually split these things right in half. But what I really want is to extract the husk and get to the water, the fluid inside. You can pick these up and you can shake them, you can actually hear the fluid. But from a green one, you can get up to a liter of water out of a green one. But these ones are a little bit more abundant, I think. It's a little harder to find the green ones unless you find some of these low down ones. So I'm going to just start extracting like wedges out of the husk. And the machete is a really great tool for being in the tropics. The locals use them, and it's perfectly suited for live vegetation. Cutting down like palm fronds, and as you can see, getting this husk off. I'm not going to pull all of it off right away. I'm just going to start pulling it apart. You got to be careful. Sometimes these will start to rot, and you don't want to go to all the trouble of dehusking a rotten coconut that you can't drink. I've actually found a good tomahawk is really good for dehusking one of these. Now the husk itself is extremely useful. What they'll use the husk for is for fuel for their fires. It burns very hot and very bright, and also the smoke, they say, keeps away insects, which is very important in these tropical areas. You've got malaria, of course, and which is transmitted from mosquitoes that bite during the night, and then mosquitoes that bite during the day transfer a disease called dengue fever, and it's called breakbone fever. It's extremely painful, and that one has no antidote and no treatment except for basically bed rest and lots of fluids. And I have a friend who recently got that, and she said it was unbearable. I believe it. And that disease is extremely prolific all through tropical regions. So you want to keep the insects away from you in these kind of environments, because getting a disease like dengue or malaria could effectively take you right out of the game. See if I can just pry the rest of this off. I'm not so sure that this coconut's even good. Sometimes you start to open these things up only to find that they've started growing or that they're just starting to rot. I don't see any sign of roots coming through at the top. So I think this is probably still good. And you'd probably want to gather up a bunch of these, lay out all these husks to dry. You can use them for tinder. It burns really well. And put these near your camp. It's a good resource to have nearby. All right. Of course, the locals are much quicker with this than I am, but they've had years of practice. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to cut a little hole right here in the top. You want to clear away bits of the debris here, make it a little bit cleaner. Getting all that hairy stuff and husk away. And I'm gonna just cut a little circle right into here. Oop. Thought I broke the tip there for a second. And you can see, that's the meat. And that's good to eat too, so. I try and make a pretty big hole. Doesn't smell bad. And this one's not too bad, even though it looked kind of moist and like it might be rotting. This one's good and clean. It's got kind of a coconut flavor. Sometimes it's got kind of a tangy flavor to it. But if it smells like it's rotting, or look, just use your judgment on it. If it tastes strange, you probably don't want to drink it. But this is great to replenish any of the fluids you're losing out here on these islands, especially if you're spending your day, moving around in the sun. The sun is your worst enemy in these islands. You can, just one day of being in constant, tropical sun can really take it out of you. But you can just carry this around and sip out of it like a water bottle.